Right now we have an executive perspectives presentation right now, or panel right now. It's called Driving the Value and Productivity with Network as a Service Transformation. I'm going to bring up the moderator, Bryan, from TeleGeography. He's the Senior Manager for Enterprise Research. And while Greg is coming on, we're going to show you a short video that explains the makeup of this panel.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
Dear friends, colleagues, and partners, and dear Nan, good morning to everybody. I'm extremely sorry that I cannot be with you in person in Dallas for this unique and expected event. But as you know, and as you can read from the newspapers, we are in a crucial phase of the separation of TIM and the possibility to sell the network. As Chief Network and Wholesale Officer at TIM and President of Sparkle, the network is my core business, and I truly believe that NaaS represents the future of the telecom industry. This gathering is timely and necessary to analyze the state of the art and the evolution of a value-added and secure network of service offering from the different ecosystem perspective. Thank you, MEF, for organizing it. I'm also very sorry that I could not attend the first meeting of the MEF Advisory Board, where I was recently honored to be appointed. Sorry again. This prestigious appointment has a special meaning for me personally and also represents another important step forward in the ever-growing relationship between MEF and Sparkle. Sparkle has, in fact, been member of MEF since 2011. Since then, we have been pioneering and promoters in the adoption of the MEF guidelines, and today participate in the strategic direction of the association with Antonella Sanguinetti, that is our Director Secure Cloud and Networking Product Management, and she is also co-chair of ITN Maintenance Council, and Lorella Scalcione, our Chief Information Officer and co-chair of Women at MEF. Last but not least, of course, we have Daniele Mancuso, our Chief Product Management, who is member of the MEF Board of Directors since 2019, and to whom I shall leave the floor to represent Sparkle in the driving value and productivity with Network as a Service Transformation panel. Thank you all again and enjoy the conference.
Excellent. Okay, with that explanation, I'd like to invite my panel to join me on stage, please. And I think we'll sit in the order that's on that screen there. So Marisa next to me. Yeah. Thank you. And that's good because you'll have some slides, and so we'll start right there. Yeah. Right. Excellent. Well, yeah, thanks so much, everybody, for joining us here for this panel before lunch. I'm really excited to get the picture from this panel because the sort of main idea that I want to take away from this is how are the things that Pascal and Nan are talking about from that central kind of big perspective actually playing out for the carriers who are implementing these services. So I'm going to ask each of the panelists to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about that. We'll start with Marisa, who has some slides prepared. So.
Yes, good morning, and thank you very much, Greg. I did put some slides together because I thought the visual is really, really important, especially as I'm speaking from an African and Middle Eastern perspective. So my name is Marisa Trisolino. I'm the CEO of CMC Networks. We're an asset-light aggregator with predominant focus on Africa and the Middle East. We provide a variation of connectivity services and SATCOM connectivity, MPLS, Ethernet, cloud enablement to a variety of customers, including multinationals, wholesale, NGOs, and government. We operate in 51 countries out of the 54 in Africa and 12 in the Middle East. So perhaps if I can just show the first slide over here and what NaaS
I am hitting
Okay.
advance, but nothing
That's
is
okay.
happening. So
So what I can say is
Yeah.
what NaaS does for Africa, it's a very, very important conversation. And I firmly believe that NaaS will contribute to the rapid digitization, right, with the acceleration, the experience, and the enablement across Africa here. And I think we must not underestimate the importance of Africa and the size of Africa when we speak of the impact that network as a service will have on this continent. And where CMC comes in, we're really taking an agile approach where we want to break down all the barriers and the borders and look at it as a ubiquitous continent to work in, which is very, very hard because it's actually 51 countries, right? So I actually had a slide to show you all the size of Africa.
yeah, are the slides? Is there something that we can do from the booth? I'm just yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
No slides.
Okay, so I'm just going to go from memory here and pray. Okay.
I don't envy that, I'll be honest.
No. So what we have is actually, if you would visualize it, the economy and the growth of Africa, the African continent, is massive. At the moment, there's 1.4 billion people on the continent, right? They're projecting to go to 1.8 by 2025. They speak over 1,200 languages. The average age is 22. It is a tremendous size. If you take the US can fit close to 4 times, 2.5 times onto the continent of Africa, right? The development and the leapfrogging ability and entrepreneurship that the people in Africa have, and I'm generalizing here, is to note. So what we're doing from a CMC perspective is we're looking at network as a service. Now, running a network as a service model in a delivery fashion is quite easy from a data center to data center perspective, easy. But the complexity that we face, we manage over 180 suppliers in Africa, and that is to convince them to come on board and understand the network as a service model. So the way we have developed our network as a service model, there we go.
All right.
All right, we can go right past all of that. Click, click, click.
Tell me when to stop.
Okay. It should be changing. Okay, we can go through that. One more time. Go through it. Okay, here we go. So if you just look at that, the size of that, right? You can see all the different continents and countries that actually fit on the African continent. And the internet economy is 180 billion by 2025 and will go to 712 billion by 2050. So the rapid growth and expansion on this continent is magnificent, right? 6.5 billion African tech startups raised over a total of 764 deals. So, and the population by 2025 is 2.5 billion. My apologies, I made a mistake. It's going to outpace the growth in Asia. So if anything's going to happen from a digital transformation and rapid digitization, it will be taking place on the African continent. So we're going to go to the next slide, please. This is CMC Network's network. Our core network runs right across 51 out of 54 countries in the Middle East. We are the first MEF 3.0 dual certified carrier, Ethernet and SD-WAN, the only one in Africa. I believe we still are the only one in Africa, so that's a really strong partnership we have with the MEF team. And you can see all our service locations across the continent. And if you go to the next slide, where I was speaking about our network as a service solution and what we have coined it as CMC Fusion, right? So we've been working on this for a very long time. We've already implemented some of the main building blocks of orchestration, automation, and API-centric platform. And what this fusion means is we are fusing our OSS and BSS stack with our network, where eventually we will lead to deliver on flexible and consumption-based models, which is very, very challenging considering the number of countries we have to deal with and number of suppliers we manage. But I think that's it in a nutshell. That is what we do, and I think we're looking very forward to our journey rolling out this CMC Fusion across the African continent.
Excellent. All right. Thank you for that. I'm glad that we got the slides because
Me too.
I love seeing network maps. Obviously,
Just the visual is much more
exactly,
impactful,
yeah.
right?
All right. So Mirko, we'll move on to you and maybe just quickly brief background on yourself, and then specifically, I'm looking for all of you to talk about, again, as I set it up, that we've gotten the big picture of how we're defining NaaS from the industry perspective, but how is Colt actually going to market and presenting this to the customer?
Okay, thanks. Hi, everybody. So Mirko, I run innovation at Colt, basically focus on new product development. I don't have any slides, but and I'm not going to be able to show a network map on that, but we also have more than 50 countries, probably not as challenging environment as Marisa has in Africa, but quite a global network, lots of focus on Europe and Asia, but also present in the US. So we are a B2B business. We've been operating across all the various technology layers and product layers, serving medium to large size enterprise customers, so we don't do SMEs. So NaaS, we have a vision for NaaS to really enable orchestration of services across multiple domains, so product domains, but also across multiple providers, as the equation doesn't stop at Colt. As we know, we need to be able to work with each other, also work with other service providers, so on top of the telecom, the TLC ecosystem to create end-to-end services. But maybe more from a business perspective, the vision is that this capability will enable enterprise to create composable solutions to deliver specific outcomes. And with that, I'd really include anything beyond just pure connectivity and telecom services, because it's end-to-end. We're seeing a lot of transformation happening in the enterprise space, driving solutions, smart solutions, I call them, using different technologies, IoT, AI, blockchain, edge, you name it, private 5G and 5G. And the ability to create these services end-to-end is going to be key. So what did we do? We actually built what I call NaaS 1.0, a platform starting in 2015, focused on delivering on-demand connectivity. It's actually called Colt On Demand. Enables enterprises to basically, through a portal and through APIs, we've also been pushing the adoption of APIs and help MEF to build APIs from scratch. They can create telecom connectivity services in a very flexible manner. One key aspect I want to stress is the fact that when I talk about services, we talk about components. We are going down to a level below the monolithic definition of products today in telecom space. I think actually telecom products are dead. We're gonna be seeing more and more discomposable infrastructure coming together. So that's the way we handle this. We've been seeing significant growth, recently expanded our platforms to cover also off-net, even though, again, not everybody is yet implementing APIs, but we managed to find a way to create this extension to the telecom space, and we're now looking into moving up into the stack.
Right, absolutely. I think that's an ongoing theme with listening to various carriers' NaaS story. It's one of those things that develops very, very slowly and then all at once, right? So we're not maybe at the all at once phase yet, but I think we're getting closer and closer. So Daniele, how about at Telecom Italia?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody. So Daniele Mancuso, I'm running the product management department in Sparkle. We are a global operator. We are the first international global operator in Italy, running a huge backbone of more than 600,000 kilometers of fiber optic, basically in 4 continents, 170 points of presence spread in the world. We are just 700 people, so basically each one of us is running almost 1,000 kilometers of fiber by itself.
And out there in the trenches.
Those are KPIs to be kept into high consideration. Again, we are ranked number 4 for our IP backbone by CAIDA organization. Probably one of the few operators left running both wholesale and enterprise business at the same time. So our product portfolio basically is organized in 3 product lines. One that is dedicated to backbone and infrastructures, where we run the traditional business of subsea cables, data centers, landing infrastructures and IP backbone. Second one is the secure cloud networking, where we basically serve both enterprises and carriers that wants to connect at layer 2, and all-fledged security and connectivity and networking services, plus identity in the near future. And last but not least, the voice and mobile, where we recently developed some specific new products to enterprises such as global IoT connectivity, enterprise voice suites, and so on and so forth. So NaaS is an opportunity for us. We are already working for several years to evolve the way we serve enterprise customers in a number of cross activities. We have started, of course, with a huge reorganization of our IT architecture. Yesterday, Lorella was talking about the digitalization of the BSS. You cannot expose, you cannot let others to consume what you don't have standardized and defined inside. API first is our strategy. All our new products for a couple of years are already starting with the API concept inside. Web portal, customer portal is something that we are reorganizing to let our customers to use and consume those services. We have already something that we expose in an on-demand fashion, so Cloud Connect, Ethernet suite, pop-to-pop, where customers were initially able to change just the bandwidth, but now we are introducing more and more capabilities at every release, including the disconnect, which was, a big debate. Shall we let customers...
That is an interesting one, yeah.
Exactly. To seize their service by themselves? The answer is yes. If we want to implement NaaS, we need to play fair. So...
that might give them more confidence to
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we need to build a level of trust that at the moment is not existing from the enterprise to the service provider. And trust means also expose ourselves to give them visibility about our performance internal to the network. Our challenges are more or less the same that Marisa and Mirko were highlighting, but of course we play on a global scale. We are an international service provider, but we don't have any metropolitan area network, if not in Greece. So we need to interconnect hundreds of partners. And we need to be sure that the paradigm that we are going to implement about network as a service is sustainable all along the path, from the interconnection to the end customer until the last mile. And that's, of course, is requiring standardization, is requiring a common language, it is requiring APIs, and is requiring the framework that we are putting together today as a foundation of what is going to be the NaaS.
Absolutely. Then Usman, last but certainly not least, as a global provider's perspective, but you also come from a global hyperscaler as well, and I'm curious to get how that vision sort of unifies. So please tell us a little bit about yourself and how Orange is implementing NaaS.
Oh, thanks, Greg, and very, very excited to be here. I'm the new Chief Product and Marketing Officer at Orange Business, started 5 months back. Previously, I was with a hyperscaler and then another service provider, and I started my career as a software developer, so I really get excited when we talk about APIs. I think, Orange Business, so I don't need to say more on that, but we think about NaaS in Orange Business from a position of purpose and responsibility, and I think I align with what Marisa was saying is, for Orange, which is sort of providing services to customers across 200 different countries with 350 POPs that we have across the world. We think that NaaS is an opportunity to do what cloud has done for the IT industry, right? In terms of really democratize access to network services for the small to the big enterprises, right? And as Orange, we provide services to small, medium enterprises, SOHOs, all the way to MNCs. Actually, it's really giving access and creating that level playing field across the industry for network services. So that's how we really approach when you think about NaaS. I think taking sort of a network lens, and of course the customer lens towards networks, I think when we talk to our customers, there is one thing which is common across all customers. They're all driving their digital transformation. And in that digital transformation, 80% of the customers, I think there's some statistics we say that They believe that the secure digital infrastructure is critical to have the successful and accelerated digital transformation. So when we think about NaaS concepts, actually we think about how we can help build the secure digital infrastructure for our customers. And in Orange Business, we define that by 3 C's. So the first C is very easy to guess, is connectivity. The second is cybersecurity, and the third is cloud. And I think if you look at the capabilities that we bring, clearly we have got this large network and connectivity offer. But on top of that, we have the cybersecurity skills. We are one of the top cybersecurity players in Europe. And then combining that with the cloud infrastructure, we have more than 20 years of history with all the acquisitions of doing cloud and private cloud, and now increasingly doing sovereign cloud. So if you put those 3 C's together, that give you that secure digital infrastructure that our customers are needing to drive their digital transformation. And this way we bring the concept of, as a service consumption and so on. So we call this Evolution Platform, is the name of the platform that we're building, and it has got 3 parts very quickly. The first, the keyword from our customer's perspective is flexibility. How can I build my services much more flexibly? Subscription-based, it's consumption-based, you name it, but it's the flexibility is the keyword here. And then how you can actually orchestrate different services to be able to meet the needs, the evolving needs of the business, right? Because think about our customers who procure this connectivity services from us, and their business for 5 years contract, and the business have moved massively. So how they can continuously adopt, and the flexibility is the keyword. The second keyword for us in Evolution Platform is innovation, right? I think we as an industry is actually holding back, especially the service provider, the innovation that our technology partners are able to bring, because we do a lot of wraparound and testing assurances and so on, which means that what our enterprise customers get versus the latest release, which will always behind. So how we can take the innovation directly available to our enterprise customers. And this way we're investing in our Evolution Platform with a software layer, which is called Telco Cloud, and then we are hosting network functions. We already deployed 10,000 VNFs in our Telco Cloud infrastructure across that backbone network that I mentioned. So that we bring innovation to the forefront. And the third keyword I think is critical is the total experience that our customers are looking for. It's going from a point A to point B, irrespective of, I talk about this digital superhighway that we're building towards the cloud. But the highway also have got those country roads, and then the side roads and the streets and so on. So the customer care about how can you give me a total experience end to end. And I truly believe that a single provider in the room cannot do it. It has to be done by all of us. And that's why we strongly believe in MEF APIs and so on, so that we can really connect those total experience for our enterprise customers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. So, and that leads in well to then thinking about, we'll talk about the enterprise later. I hope we'll have time to do a full round on that. But first I want to look at the title of this panel, right? Driving Value and Productivity with NaaS Transformation from the carrier side, because we have executive carrier panel here. And what I'm looking for here is, sort of the promise of all of this automation and NaaS has been to lower friction within the organization, to lower overhead, to reduce provisioning time. How close are we getting to these factors? Marisa?
I think we are very close. I think I can just speak from personal experience. Going back to South Africa, we are today already consuming and productizing and putting in production virtual cross connects, right? Mm-hmm. And this is using our service location in Johannesburg, and we're working with one of our data center providers and partners, Terraco, and just by this virtual cross connect, we can immediately give any of our customers access to 51 African countries. Mm-hmm. Going right across our footprint within a matter of minutes. Right. And they have access to full MPLS, Ethernet, IP Premier, and this is all elastic. Mm-hmm. It's elastic services. So we're there, we're doing it. It's speed to market, quicker revenue. It's just the ease of doing business for our customers, and it absolutely reduces the overhead.
Yeah, and that's the key. I think thinking through this, you have some folks at the carriers that might be afraid, oh, this is going to lead to layoffs. And does it lead to layoffs, or does it lead to more business, more innovation, that sort of thing? Mirko, you want to?
Yeah, I think I would separate 2 areas. We're there, I'd say also almost 100% in respect to what we can do within Colt. As I said earlier, we built our Colt on-demand capability more than 5 years ago, and it's now fully operational. We made a significant investment. Maybe I make a parallel comment here. You need to adopt cloud-like procedures if you want to operate like cloud providers. So one of the key aspects there is simplification. So you need to actually get the network to a level. You can actually have a common playground you can actually build on top of it. If you keep maintaining lots of legacy networks, then it becomes quite difficult to automate. So we made that investment, and it's paying back. We're not there yet in respect to using our partners, and I'm not blaming anyone here, but I think we have like 300 off-net providers across the world. Probably need to simplify that as well, but the percentage of what we can now find in terms of full automation is still very low. Picking up on one of the comments made by the Enterprise Leadership Council, there's no good use if you can actually order something that you need to wait 60 days for delivery.
Right.
And I think we need to go the full life cycle. So maybe adding to what I said earlier about what is NaaS is also across the entire life cycle. So quoting, ordering, and activation, and then operating services end to end. So I think that is key.
And Daniele, do you see the reduction of friction within the organization?
Yeah, basically adopting new technology enablers is helping us to understand not only how we can automate, but rather simplify internal processes. Still, I fully agree with Mirko, we are not there yet in the entire life cycle,
within the
entire
ecosystem,
supply chain. Especially because we need to understand that when we talk about NaaS and we talk about connectivity in general, we're not just limiting ourselves to the old problem of the wide area network of our enterprise customer. Today, due to digital transformation, mostly I would quote the hyper-automation of industries trend. We need to understand that connectivity becomes a core component of a very complex supply chain. For example, if you take the automotive market, there are huge workflows that are involving hundreds of partners in the realization of a new car. And those cars must be connected.
Right.
Now, you need to understand that providing connectivity to such a customer means sometimes to be able to spin off eSIMs or plastic SIMs to provide IoT connectivity. That's the meaning of NaaS, not just wide area network.
Right.
So we need to integrate ourselves not only with the partners that are similar to us. It's not enough I connect with Colt, but I need to connect with the ecosystem of the automotive, and I need to connect with the ecosystem of the providers that are printing the SIM cards for me. And I need to have a common language across this complex supply chain. This is the power of NaaS. This is the power of the foundation that we are launching today. And this is where the industry is going. So you understand that really for the first time in tens of years, maybe, we are not looking just of how to protect and monetize better our investment, but really how to grow in a new environment that is much larger than what we have played so far.
Right. And Usman, the global perspective from the carrier side of reducing friction, is that
I think it's important that we are very clear on the definition of NaaS, to be honest. And I think in the morning, Andrew talked about, NaaS is more delivery transformation, and I would actually add to that, it's a transformation of how you consume services. So it's more transformation on the customer side of digital consumption of services, the way they consume cloud services, they like to consume network services. But then at the back of that, how actually you deliver that through automation and so on. So I think it's the two sides of the coin. And I feel that there is a risk of NaaS washing as well, because you cannot turn a Ford Fiesta into a Ferrari overnight, right? So I think you need to really start the transformation internally from the network, right? And we have spent like last 7-8 years, we used to have 2 different networks, one for wholesale, one for enterprise. We combined both networks together. We created a software layer across that so we can deploy virtual functions. Then we didn't stop there. Actually, we started investing in our own switches. We procured those white boxes, hardware, and then we build our own network operating systems in-house by our own developers. So we have much more flexibility in terms of building new features. So since March, we have got our own switches in the network in production. We're bringing routers next year. So I think all that flexibility need to be there in the underlying network so that you can create a NaaS layer, the consumption layer, the APIs. But I think in terms of the readiness, I would say internally within Orange Business, we have 70% of our underlay is fully automated. But then I think when you talk about connecting to the rest of the ecosystem, which is the total experience that I talk about, it's very, very early days. I think we just started integrating some APIs with Colt, and I think it's very early days. And for making a difference to the end enterprise customer, that's what matters. It's not how automated you are within your own scope of work.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. So let's talk about that. We've got 5 minutes left. As an analyst, I'm in my role, I talk to a lot of enterprises. That's one reason I can have a beard like this. I'm talking to a lot of network guys, right? I have found a very mixed bag. There are some folks that I talk to that are just on the cutting edge of technology all the time, and sometimes this varies by vertical. FinTech is often very on top of these sorts of changes. There are others that sounded, if you saw the enterprise panel this morning, a little bit still more skeptical about this, and furthermore trying to understand what are the sort of go-to-market offerings that you guys have out there now going to do for them, right? So I'm wondering if you can each maybe talk about something like a solid use case of where the enterprise really benefits from adopting these services. Marisa?
Well, I can just speak from what we have in place today, and again I go back to South Africa, which is independent, coming from an African context, and it is largely legal firms that are using these services, which is strange. Yeah, and the one is they really want a managed WAN solution, but they don't want to own the network. And we had to rework it, and we gave them an end-to-end solution on an OpEx model. They love it from a financial perspective. It's hands off, and we run it for them. And whenever there's a new technology change or a new environment, we can bring it up for them, spool it up for them, and they're very happy with it. The other is same with legal firms, where they had to move their disaster recovery service away from a data center.
Right.
And into Azure, and we help them with the cloud connectivity, express routing, and this duplication of the environment in the evening. During the nights, they really had to increase on the bandwidth, right? And so to get the duplication resolved, and when it was completed during the course of the evening, the bandwidth level came down. And instead of us having to charge them on a permanent upgrade for 6 months to 12 months, we charge them for 2-3 hours. And this is happening today. So they're extremely happy with it. And so I think for me, I understand everybody's saying that we've got to work very carefully, very slowly, but there are certain pockets of NaaS that we are working with today, and we're already rolling out.
Yeah, that was a great use case. I like that one. And with all there's still lift and shift happening, but there's cloud repatriation happening, and that's the very obvious bandwidth on demand use case out there. Mirko?
Yeah, I think actually what you said regarding the ELC panel today is probably an understatement to say skepticism. But I think we need to, enterprises, we need to look at NaaS not in isolation, but as part of the broader picture. And I think only in that way you can realize the value of it. And maybe picking on the example that Daniele was using earlier, automotive. We see technology there, and in many other sectors, maybe a different pace, becoming really key to the company business.
Very good.
And I predicted the shift is going to be today. Business strategy is separate from technology strategy. At some point in the future will be the same. As some of these businesses will actually be driven by technology.
Right.
And so if you look at network, and now network as a service as a component of that overall technology strategy, then becoming business strategy, is important that we can play a role in that ecosystem. If we look at continuously at network as just a an underlay component as a cost center, then you're not going to be able to realize the value. Whether you deliver it in 60 days or in 5 days, it's still a cost center.
Still a cost.
So it's not going to be instrumental to the company business.
Daniele?
Yeah, I already talked about the vision. So to me, network and network as a service is becoming an essential component in this industry evolution. So concrete use cases where you were asking. I mean, what we do today is already something. Connection to the cloud is what customers really wants and wants to operate on demand. So we are building up over there. Another thing that we are studying at the moment, not launched yet, is we have a good business in the temporary Ethernet services that are used for sport events. And this is really good because, of course, sport is driving a lot.
Another very natural use
Exactly,
case.
exactly. And we are working with Antonella and their team in order to provide, let's say, the most possible as a service experience also for this stuff. We believe that there is room to improve what we are doing. Also, by the way, from the physical connection point of view, there are technologies already that allow you to connect. And places like stadium are definitely connected by default. There is not a stadium where fibers is not arriving. So we're not talking about the remote shop, we're talking about a place that is well connected already. And by the way, there you need, again, to interconnect automatically with your partner that is delivering the connectivity over there. But there is really room to grow and to grow fast in this niche that we've found.
Yeah, that's a great point. And one to the bigger point that the end-to-end capabilities here always come back to, is there fiber there, and who is the operator of that fiber?
Exactly, exactly. So you see that there is a common way of thinking. The East-West is where we need still to invest and to improve.
Right. Usman, we're out of time, but I'll let you have the almost the last word, because I'll probably take the last word.
Right, okay, I'll be quick. I think we're looking at use cases more from a perspective of, is NaaS a growth opportunity for us in terms of our top line, right? And I think one of the areas that we're really investing is observability. And I give you an example, one of the few areas where the CIOs are ready to spend more than what they have spent last year is cybersecurity. So what we have done is we built a threat intelligence capability, which is where we have integrated 5,000 different sources of data coming from different network nodes. We leverage our own telco scale. At the same time, we are also integrated vulnerability assessment of 500 different types of products, network products, and that creates several tens of terabytes of data that we have built AI models. So we can do predictive intelligence on the security posture and threat posture for enterprises, and then we can already go to them and tell them there is a potential threat in the making. So if you can help a customer to avoid a ransomware or a cyber attack, actually that's a great top line saving for them, and of course that really pays back as a use case. So we're doing that for a number of customers, been very successful.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. This was very enlightening to me, and the sort of takeaway that I want to bring out of it is all of us thinking more deeply about this, instead of this being this reactive thing. Assume there's a network there. We need to start seeing the network as the enabler for the business, of whatever line of business they're in, that the network becomes how they better reach their customers. So that's the work we have to do, I guess. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.